Hello Internet, I'm me, and this is Kamen Wizard, episode 14. I'm, yeah, I'm guessing, but damn do I love this episode. Now, I didn't really get into it last review because, well, I was trying to cram a lot into that one review, but I didn't explain how much I love Kamen Rider Beast. His dialogue is actually really witty and snappy and brings a lot of humor into this relatively flat or humorless season so far. And honestly, one of the things I like about this is his interaction with the other characters, especially Kamen Rider Wizard and his little gang. And even when he's just alone, he actually brings me a lot of laughs. Like, for this episode, we figure out that Kamen Rider Beast is homeless. Hence the giant, like, camping pack. Obvious. But he's homeless, he roams around, and he hunts for phantoms that way. He even has the little, well, he calls it the little griffin, but it's one of the little robots that he puts a ring into to go help him find phantoms as well. Just like Kamen Rider Wizard, and I think it's the White Mage. I called him the White Wizard one time, and I was quickly corrected by a website, so you know. But anywho, we've also learned that Kamen Rider Beast cannot survive without mana. I initially thought, well, Kamen Rider Wizard probably won't be able to use magic unless he consumes Phantom's mana. But in this episode, we figure out that he was actually an explorer who unearths an ancient Kamen Rider, well, it's not a Kamen Rider belt, I guess, but a wizard belt, and actually merges with Chima, or the beast. Like, it's a lion head, falcon arm, bull chest, and like a dolphin's arm on the other side. I don't know where the chameleon comes in, but you saw all four of those on this giant lion's head. It's a Chima, which is what it's called. He merges with the Chima, allowing him to use magic, but he must feed the Chima Fanta's mana in order to survive, because without the mana, they will both die. Which is actually a pretty cool trade-off and seems very realistic to an ancient wizard. The science of wizardry isn't 100% yet, and he does have to have mana to survive because he's using a butt ton of mana. I thought that was actually really interesting and a really cool way to use magic. As in, like, showing the old ways of how a source would work with its, well, master. Now, with this actually being explained to Hiromu, oh, not Hiromu, who's Haruto? Dang, what's with the H's? Anywho, Haruto tries to tell Kamen Rider Beast that he really he doesn't need to eat Phantom's mana, but he does need to protect the gates. And right before he can really explain what gates are to Kamen Rider Beast, because he doesn't know what it is, pretty much Kamen Rider Beast has a pretty good understanding of what's going on. He's like, okay, the gates are important to you, phantoms are important to me, just, I need to eat them or I'll die, so if you just go over there, protect the gate, I'll go kill the phantoms and we'll be good. And I kind of like that about this Kamen Rider. Kamen Rider Beast is a better secondary rider to me. Much better than Meteor. Because, well, the conflict in between Kamen Rider Wizard and Kamen Rider Beast, though every time they bring up a secondary rider, they have to fight each other first before they team up, this one actually feels like a more organic way of fighting each other. This is a wizard who needs to eat the Phantom's mana. Kamen Rider Wizard doesn't need to, but he does need to protect the gates. So he's going to probably end up killing the Phantoms before Kamen Rider Beast can even get to them. So you can see Kamen Rider Beast fighting Kamen Rider Wizard so that he can preserve the Phantom and then kill it and then eat it. Because Kamen Rider Wizard doesn't need it. So that was actually pretty cool, and the fact that the Phantoms have actually come together, especially the Wise Man, and pretty much explained why the ancient wizard needs to eat Phantoms. Medusa comes up with a plan to pretty much tell him, Oh yeah, didn't Kamen Rider Wizard tell you? He totally eats Phantom Mana. Yeah, he totally does. You didn't know it, but he does. He's just trying to keep all the Phantom Mana to himself. And she offers him a deal to where it's like, you keep Kamen Rider Wizard, I called him Phantom, off the gates. We'll turn the gates into phantoms, and you can eat those phantoms. Sweet deal. Because pretty much, if you think about it, it's like, oh, I need to survive off of vampires, and I live right next to Blade. You're not going to live off of any vampires because Blade's going to go and kill them all. So that's a pretty organic conflict. And I actually really like that. And I actually really like that near the end, Kamen Rider Wizard is actually Kamen Rider Beast. Because, like, Kamen Rider Beast is just pretty much knocking Kamen Rider Wizard away from a Phantom, saying, hey, who has the better deal here? Because I like this about this guy. He's so brilliant. Okay, this is where I would usually go, well, why doesn't he work with Kamen Rider Wizard to, organize like a deal out, and he could just take the Phantoms while Kamen Rider Wizard runs off at the gates? And he's kind of thought of that. He actually stops the fight to pretty much talk it out with the Phantom and Kamen Rider Wizard, making me think, oh, well, he's not an idiot. He'll ask what the hell's going on. He doesn't know the situation, so he'll learn the situation. And you can see an organic partnership coming from this and an organic rivalry coming from this. It's really interesting, and I think it's really well done. And once again, I really have to alliterate on how much I love Kamen Rider Beast interacting with the rest of this world. There's a part where the Phantom actually is some weird guy in a scuba suit all the time, and he comes out of the water to go and face the gate. And this is the first time he shows up, so he just comes out of the water and climbs up on I think it's a gazebo. And Kamen Rider Beast is just there by coincidence and looks over and goes, huh, people live in water now? And just how he said it was hilarious to me. Another thing that I really did like about this episode is actually the fight scenes. Yes, the reason I like the fight scenes so much is because we're getting a lot less of the ghouls and more of the phantom fighting. And because of this, we actually have a lot of Kamen Rider Wizard fighting the Phantom while Kamen Rider Beast is trying to get Kamen Rider Wizard out of the way to fight the Phantom. And so they're not really ever hitting each other, as in they're just moving each other out of the way to hit the Phantom. And that for fight choreography is really cool to watch. To see how they move around each other and how each one of them fights in a different way, and how those two styles kind of dance around each other while they're trying to kill one enemy. It's really cool. Sorry, I've seen how to set up fight scenes. I've tried setting up fight scenes. Seeing this is just like, oh, that's really cool, and it's really well done. There are very few of the like telling camera shots where it's obviously they didn't hit, but a lot of the times this is a really good fight scenes all the way through. And of course, I don't know if it's the wise man's human form, but we do see a hipster Japanese dude give Koyomi a new magical stone, which is for the earth form. And, of course, she immediately knows it's a phantom, because she can sense phantoms, which is awesome. And, of course, he's acting really weird and creepy to her, and does this awesome, like, reverse jump of a $6 Million Man, where it's like, anyway, but, we solidly figure out that a phantom is supplying the magical stones. Even though it wasn't up to interpretation once the water magic stone came around. You saw the wise man pulled out of his damn chest. But we still don't know what's up with the white mage. So that still is out there, and I still really want to know what's going on with that. And this episode actually ends with Haruto, Kamen Rider Beast, and the Phantom all still fighting each other, but Kamen Rider Beast trying to get them to stop fighting each other to make a deal with one of them. And that's a great way to end an episode, just like the frustration of trying to work things out while fighting somebody. I think this is a really great episode, and I love how it's written. I love the fight scenes. I like the story and the intrigue and the mystery and the character development. And I mean, Jesus Christ. If anything was making Kamen Rider Wizard kinda okay, it was pretty okay this entire season, but the introduction of Kamen Rider Beast has really rejuvenated this series and is really bringing out the best of this season. And honestly, if Vic keeps this up, this might be my next, this will be a really, really good season. Just from character development alone and fight scenes. I need to know the fight choreographer on this so I can go take up an internship with him. But until next time, y'all, peace.